want to say something. Just because I got older doesn't mean I got any wiser. So bear with me.
Yeah.
Now, I'd like to talk about my childhood. You know all about me. There's no sense telling you what I think, what I don't think, because you hear it all the time. I'll tell you about my childhood. I was born in Russia, in Odessa, a beautiful city, calm, wonderful climate, and the sea was like a lake. Our house was right on the water. What year? When I was born, 1907, before World War I. Odessa was really a liberal city. The Jews could live peaceably there. They could go to university if they had the money. But only a select few were admitted to university. But all the Jews that I knew all went to libraries, the older people. They all read books. They adored Russia because of its music, its art, and the wonderful writers they had there. I didn't like the government because of the pogroms. And one year, my father was members of a socialist party, which of course taboo at that time. And the Cossacks would raise the meetings and capture all the people and take them off to jail. And he came home one night and said, I hear they're coming around. I've got to leave now. I've been saving money to go to America. I don't have enough to take the whole family. So I'll have to leave in a hurry. So the next morning, he took the three of us together and explained to us why he was leaving, and that Mama was in charge now, and that whenever he was ready, he would send for the rest of us. And he said to Mama, buy each one a gift, and told him, it's my gift. My sister wanted a book, because she wanted to learn how to read, to be English. My brother wanted a brass buckle because it looked like a soldier. I wanted a doll. Well, I could only get a little bit of a doll. They couldn't afford a real-size doll. And we had to take pictures and send them to America so my father could see how happy we were with our gifts. And about a year later, he sent enough money for the rest of us to come to America. Now, we came to Ellis Island, and everyone had learned about Castle Garden, which had once been the embargo point before Ellis Island was built. We came to Ellis Island, and my father was waiting on deck with my mother's two youngest sisters. And Mama had said to us, don't cry when you see them. And my father had said to the two girls, don't cry when you see your sister with the children. When they saw, we all broke into wild screaming. We were hysterical. We came to America, to downtown section, and there was a parade going on, and we thought they were parading in honor of our arrival. It happens to be March 17th, St. Patrick's Day. We didn't know about St. Patrick's. We were thrilled that America was so glad to see us. And we moved to a small section of Brooklyn, East New York. It was on the border of Queens, and it was still not the slums. All small homes. Ours were the only house that had 3 floors. They were all single homes. They had all gardens with lilac bushes, as we call them snow bush, hydrangeas, trees on the street. It was very, very pleasant living there. I don't know what else I can tell you about that area. The neighborhood school was a very fine school. All Jewish kids, all smart kids too. And I was the first junior high school in Brooklyn to attend junior high school. That was the year they organized junior high school. 3 years, for 2 years instead of 3 years. And I was the only one in the school to be admitted. The rest of the kids came from different parts of Brooklyn. We had to take 2 trolleys to get to that section, to Bushwick Avenue. I thought it was the most elite neighborhood, all very big houses, very wealthy Gentiles there. And I thought that the mayor lived on that street. I thought his name was Mayor Highland, because it was near Highland Park. I thought it was his park. And we learned to play tennis and play in that park. The kids in that junior high school, I was the only Jewish child there in my class. And I taught them to eat peanut butter. No, I taught them halva, and they all taught me peanut butter. I'd never had peanut butter in my life. And they came to my house to visit from their part of Brooklyn, and I'd been to visit their homes. And we remained right through high school. I was the only Jew they knew. I didn't have any boyfriends at that time, although I was a teenager. But I had very good friends from the street. Oh, there was one boy that was shining up to me, and one day he asked me to go to the kid on the block. Whatever, we knew each other. We had to go to the movies. The movie house was 1 block from the house. So one Saturday he met me, would I go to the movies with him? So I said yes. We went in there, and he sat there watching the movies, and he had his arm on the arm of the chair. Wasn't even touching me. My brother came in. Someone said to me, "Your sister went to the movies with the boy." He went into the movies. He said to the guy, "My sister's there, let her in." He tapped the gun, and he says, "Out." Now my brother was this big, and this guy was tall. He was so scared. The guy ran like hell. He never talked to me again. That was my first date. Then we had a group of friends there. They all got married within that group, which is very interesting. My friend Eileen, you know, she died recently. There were 3 or 4 of us friends all together. But I was the only one who knew non-Jewish kids. And they were amazed that I could be a normal child. They were surprised. Trying to recall something else. Well, movies was 5 cents admission. But if you had another kid, you can go in for 8 cents. So we'd stand outside, and you know, two of us could go in for 5 cents, but you have to have 2 pennies and 3 pennies. Most of us had only 2 pennies. We'd stand outside and say, "Who's got 1? I got 3, I got 2. We'd get together 5 pennies that way. And the star of the show was Clara Kimball Young, a young woman. My mother was sure she was Jewish because her name was Clara. Who else has a name like Clara but a Jewish person? But Rudy Valentina was then well known. But the big thing was going to the library every Saturday. When most kids went to synagogue, we went to the library. And my father believed that it's an important education. Synagogue was not important. You have to be a good human being. You have to be a mensch. And he recited the phrase, Yiddishkeit is Menschlichkeit. If you're a good Jew, you'll be a good human being. You don't have to go to synagogue for that. And I think Marcel's parents felt the same way. Isn't that right, Marcel?
That's right.
The Yiddishkeit was Menschlichkeit, and we lived according to that model. Decency and kindness and love of human beings. And now they loved Russia, but from the distance. They never decided to go back to. There were some people who did go back to Russia. My father believed in the revolution because Lenin had said that the anti-Semitism was a national penalty. So they must not show anti-Semitism. He didn't tell us that when Stalin died, it came out in Stalin's letters, he said, leave the Jews. Well, Lenin said, leave the Jews alone. Stalin, arch anti-Semite, leave the Jews alone. They'll die out, they'll intermarry, and they'll move away. Once you stop with the Jews, all the Jewish communities throughout the world will be upset. Leave the Jews alone. So while Lenin was alive, the Jews were Trotsky became his second in command to show that he had confidence in Jews. My father believed in that. But he never lived to see what Stalin had done. And when Stalin died, they saw in the letters that Lenin had said, leave them alone. We'll get rid of them in a quiet way. We don't want them. But we discovered what communism was. That's the end of that chapter of my life.
How about your first trip to Russia?
Oh yeah, well, in 1935 I decided to go. I remember my memories of Odessa were very beautiful, calm memories, and I decided to go back there to visit some cousins I still alive. One died in Stalingrad during the war, but I went out to visit some of my mother's family was still there. In those days there were no tours. You had to make your own arrangement. So I went to the Soviet embassy, had to make arrangements to go to Russia, and they assigned someone to be with me while I was in Russia, to go wherever I wanted to go. No one could stop me. But see, she was there, she could speak English, was with me. When we got to Odessa, she was following me wherever I went. And we went to visit my mother's family in Odessa. And there were 3 nephews there. One hated the revolution because his father was a grain merchant, and he was supposed to inherit the business. But comes the revolution, they took the business away from him, and they hired him as a manager, and he cursed the day of revolution. His younger brother went to university. His father would never have sent him to university. He thought the revolution was a marvelous thing. On the way back from Russia, I was going to stop off in Palestine. A friend of mine had written to me to say that her parents went to Palestine to spend their declining years and have their bones buried in the Holy Land. Would I drop in on that? Like it's around the corner from Odessa. Well, I know as much about geography as she did. I said, sure I did. So I took a tramp steamer from Odessa through the Mediterranean on the way to Palestine. And while waiting on the dock, waiting for the ship being loaded with whatever they were doing, because it was a merchant ship, there was a young man talking to a young woman, a tall guy, about 6 feet tall, reddish blonde hair, suntanned. I knew he was American. He was wearing white pants and a powder blue shirt. And as he's talking to him, he looks up and sees me standing on the deck. And he says, so long, doesn't give her a hug or a kiss, just says so long and walks away. Walks up to me and stands next to me, and I just ignored him completely. He just stands there, and finally he steps away from me and looks me up and down, and he says, oh, with you I'm going to have trouble. So I said, this is really a nut. And I walked away from him. When we got to the first stop was in Greece, he went to the American embassy, the American Express company, because his bags had been shipped to Moscow instead of to Odessa. He had nothing to wear, so we stopped him to buy some clothes for him. And he sends a cable home to his family. And I lost my bags, but I found my wife. This is the 3rd day out. This guy is really crazy. And he showed me the cable. And we came back on the ship, and then we were in Palestine for 17 days. He was visiting friends that he knew. We came back through Trieste up to, he went home on the Ile-de-France, and I went on to England to continue my journey. I said, yeah, I'll never see the guy. He's a lot of fun, nice guy, and that's it. His ship came to America a few days before mine did, and there he was waiting for me, the New York dock. I never left my side. We got married in June, and Lucy and Peter, the result of that marriage.
Wasn't there a cousin on board the ship, a shy woman?
Oh, yes. On the ship going across the Atlantic, I was traveling alone. There was a group of people, young people, a lot of laughter and singing. I just stood and watched them. They asked me to join them. They saw I was all alone. They discovered that I could play the piano and sing, and I knew a lot of various songs from different nationalities. I became very popular with them. But there was a young woman standing on the side, all by herself. She's a little bit older than our group. So I asked her to join. She said, oh, I can't. And she had a foreign accent. I can't. I don't belong there. I said, what do you mean you don't belong there? They're all young people. She was a school nurse, a foreign accent. And she had just lost her mother. And the insurance money, her brother said, take the money and go on a trip. You spent all your life taking care of Mama. Now go and I have no one to talk to. I said, you be with me. And I took care of her. We walked together, we ate together, we traveled together. When we got to Leningrad, she was going on. I was going down south. So she said, let's keep in touch. I gave her my address, she gave me hers. By the time I came back to America, I'd already met this guy. I had no time for a strange girl on the ship. So she'd call, and each time I'd say I was busy, I came to this or that. And then one day I was visiting my husband's family. In walks this Clara, and she yelled out, Auntie, this is the angel I'm going to tell you about. Because they were all so sympathetic with her. She had given up her life to take care of her mother. They were all loving, and they were so happy that she found someone, a friend. So I was accepted more graciously. I didn't first walk in. And they were sure there was something wrong going on, that he should marry me in such a hurry. But I waited 3 years before Lucy was born. So I have to thank Lucy for making me sound legitimate. Anyway, that was Clara. This is the angel I've been telling you about. Clara Rathchaser. What else can I remember?
So Lucy made you legitimate.
Yeah.
And what did June make you?
A pain in the neck.
Lovely. And Peter?
Peter was a doll. He was a sweetheart. He was gentle and loving and caring. He had all the fine qualities of both my daughters. And he was ready to help any time he was there. Well,
What was it like raising children in America when you yourself were raised in Russia?
well, I didn't raise my children. Clara raised my children.
Another Clara.
The housekeeper that I had lived in, she was sure that I did not know how to take care of children. So the children, yeah. She would come to the hospital, pick up the new baby, and I couldn't even carry the baby home. And the baby slept with her, and she was convinced that I was completely incompetent. She took care of the kids. She was another mother to them, and she was simply fantastic. She lived in for 25 years. I know I ever heard of a maid living in for 25 years. And I recall the time that when the kids came to visit from California, they stopped off in Harlem first to visit her before they came to see me.
The grandchildren.
The grandchildren, yes. She was a very devoted family member. What else?
What was your career like? What was it like being a working woman?
Being a what?
A working woman.
Oh, well, no problem, because I didn't take care of the house or the children. I was single.
I think you were married.
Yeah, I say I was a single person. She did all the marketing, she did all the cooking, she did all the decisions. But say I'm having 8 people for dinner, I didn't have to tell her what to make. She just did it. She was really a perfect housekeeper, not just a maid in the house.
You were ahead of your time, weren't you?
Yes, yes. I didn't have to rush home at 3 o'clock to take care of the kids, because Clara was always there. And I was very fortunate. She loved the kids. She was fond of me. I think she tolerated me. But she was very fond of my husband, as everybody was. But she was just a joy to have around. And when she'd say to June, stop, and June stopped, she had very, very stern orders. But she let June get away with hell.
Yes. How is it different being a working married person when most of the people you knew were not working?
Well, I was completely free. My husband would say, come on downtown for dinner. I'd just get on the train and go. I didn't have to worry about what will I do with the kids tonight. Clara was there. She lived in and she took care of everything. I had a very easy married life. Easier than most of the girls that I knew who were working. They had to rush home at 3 o'clock and take care of things. But when my first grandchild was born, I took her to school in the baby carriage and left her outside the school building, because the school was in the neighborhood. And everyone in the neighborhood knew this was Mrs. Tauber's baby. So they covered the baby, make sure she had a bottle in her hand. And one day the principal came, she said, who's that kid that's screaming outside? I had a street levels of room, so I could look outside. So I said, that's my grandchild. She said, take the kid home. So I walked out of the school building with the baby and took her home and gave her to Clara to take care of. I had a very easy time. I had a generous husband, a loving husband, and a good family life. I was very, very fortunate.
What was your husband's career like? Daddy.
Well, he got his PhD at age 21, which was very unusual at that time. He applied for principalship earlier, and one female turned him down, one of the board, but someone said to him, this guy's a red. We were involved in politically in those days. So he never got that principalship until much later on. He ended up being president of a college instead. But at age 20 was the youngest PhD they'd ever had. He was generous, he was kind, he was loving with the children. And what can I tell you?
You had a good marriage.
Yes, and a good, very easy life. And we traveled every summer. We conducted college tours, which made it very easy for us.
Tell us about your various careers, conducting tours. What else? What did you start off doing?
Being a teacher, I always wanted to be a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Even as a kid, when we played, and I didn't play nurse, I played school. I didn't play a mother, I played a teacher. I always wanted to be a teacher. And that's what I was. I enjoyed my...
But then you changed careers at certain times.
I can't remember.
Well, you were doing community music, weren't you?
Oh yes, I became a community school coordinator. I worked with the community in the South Bronx, which is an all-black, difficult community. And I became a guidance counselor, assistant principal. I got a lot of jobs outside the classroom. I also learned to do speech work for those who need it. And I met a lot of troubled children. This is before I knew about social work with children. I was doing it, something that Sarah was doing now professionally. And I was showered with gifts and plaques also from the community and the parents in particular. Because I used to get encourage the parents. I said, you're a high school graduate. These are the black parents. Go on. I'll get you a job. I'll get you admission to Fordham University. Continue with your education, and I'll get you a job. And I did. Some of them went on, and I got them a job in the school system or in the superintendent's office. And I had plaques all over from them. Then I'd go to the neighborhood banks and I said, give me scholarships money for kids. They'd give me bonds of $50, $25. Kids who have improved in reading or behavior, what it was. And the parents appreciated it because no one had ever taken care of them.
When did you have your last career change? At what age?
I don't even know.
Well, how old are you now?
99!
And you are now recognized as what?
As a senior citizen.
Is there anything else you do?
I'm a mother, a grandmother, a great-grandmother.
Are you known in the community for anything
yes.
else?
I'm also working in the community. The Westchester Jewish Center. I write it used to be a weekly column, I write a monthly column for a newspaper. And I've been doing this since 1972 and never missed an issue. On my 90th birthday, they gave me a big party. Now they want to give it to me this year. I said, no, wait for my 100th. I said, you're positive? I said, I'll be there.
So you started writing that column at what age?
In 1972, you figure it out.
I can't.
Minus 7. 60, 65.
Something like that.
I was 65 years old when I started my second career. But that time my husband was very active in the community, but I was no part of it. I did not take care of the community at all. Until one day the editor said to the community, have the 6 day, the Yom Kippur War.
Now which community is this?
The Jewish community.
Where?
In Yonkers.
Thank you.
It was a 6-day war, and the editor called on some important people in the community, Jews and non-Jews, in a few words, tell me, react to this monstrous thing. And she asked me, says, well, I'm not a member of the community, I'm not free here. She says, no, but you're Dr. Tauber's wife. I said, so what? Well, let's hear from you. I said, well, I can't do it in 2 sentences. She said, all right, write what you want. I had never written a word before. Write what you want. I may have to cut it down for space, but go ahead. It's like sent in 2 pages. She said, I'm going to have to cut this. And then she read this and she said, hey, you know how to write. I wrote about my experience in Palestine. I said, how can I write about this happening to Israel in 2 sentences? I could say it's bad, it's terrible, but this is a personal experience I had with Palestine. I wrote about the experience there. She says, hey, you know how to write. Would you write a column for me? I said, what will I write about? Just look, it's a Jewish newspaper, it's a Jewish community, but your article does not have to be Jewish. Write anything you want. You want to write book reports, you want to write music, anything you want. Experience. And that's how it started. And she recognized my writing.
Now, you've talked about your career. You've talked a little bit about motherhood, or not engaging in motherhood. You've talked about being a grandmother. Is there anything else, like music, that had in significance in your life?
Well, yes, I had a piano. I loved music. I loved playing the piano. And there was music in the house. The most important thing in my family house when I was a child was music. My family took me to concerts when other kids went to the Philharmonic, the Carnegie Hall in those days. The museum on Fifth Avenue, the Metropolitan Museum, had Saturday night free concerts in the hall. No chairs. Come with your own pillows and sit on the floor. And the Philharmonic would have free concerts. And we would travel from Brooklyn with 2 trains Saturday night. She slept all the children out there with our own blankets and pillows, and we'd sit on the cold floor listening to the Philharmonic concert. It was a very important thing in our lives. We had a record player, a Victrola, but we had symphony. I still have the red label records at home. They're just something from memory. Nobody can use them. But some of the finest symphonies in the world on those records. And the kids are all brought up to appreciate and to love music. Some of them went off a bit on it. Lucy loved playing the piano. June said she didn't want to play, she wanted to write the music. I don't think she didn't want to compete with Lucy, because Lucy's already 3 years ahead with her music. When I was studying the piano, I would get up in the morning. Before I went to school, I'd practice. I'd come home and play the piano. And the neighbor mothers used to say, "Oh, they can listen to the way she's practicing. Why don't you play?" The kids hated me because I would come home from school and play the piano. My father would spend Sunday morning, play the piano. He played by ear. My brother played by ear. My mother, one day my father said, "No, your mother plays the violin." I had a violin in the house. I didn't know it was my mother's. But she never bothered playing for us. But music was a very important thing in our homes. And I didn't dare play jazz because that was chasarai. So when he wasn't listening, I pick up the tunes. But music was very important. And also good theater. I went to the Walter Hampton plays, Shakespearean plays, and even the Yiddish plays. They played King Lear in Yiddish. My father dragged us down the little 2nd Avenue. King Lear was very important to the Jewish families because this is true of most of them. The father was so devoted, the children paid no attention to him. The children were not worthy. And then when he got old, the children didn't bother with him. There were more tears in the Jewish theater when King Lear was being played. What else can I tell you?
Last question. You said you start every day when you were a child. You used to start every day playing the piano.
Yes.
Can you describe, just in general, because it's amazing to us, just what a typical day in your life would be like today?
Now?
Yeah.
Well, now I live alone. It's very quiet. It's sad. I have happy memories. It's peaceful. And that's about it. And I look forward to seeing my children and grandchildren.
Do you read? Do you write? Do you listen to music?
I'm still writing, still listen to music. And I still think that life without music is missing something, right? I think that's enough for tonight.
Anything else that you want to say about what you enjoy doing in your typical day? Do you take long walks? Do you?
I walk every day. It isn't always possible because of the little infirmity I have of loss of balance, but I do walk it's about 25 to 30 minutes walking in the neighborhood. Of course, I get a lot of exercise because my bedroom and my office are upstairs, so I go up and down the steps as often as I can. But I lead a full life, as rich as I can possibly make it. I still have a weekly luncheon with the Brandeis women. And is that the end of the line?
No, it's the beginning. Go ahead. You have a weekly luncheon with the Brandeis women.
And we exchange ideas. They're all younger. They're all young chicks. They're in their 80s. They're very young. And they don't look at me as the wiser senior citizen. We're just one of the girls. That's it.
And do you spend a lot of time cooking and doing...
Cooking, no. I've never cooked before. I'm start cooking now.
Mother, I'm going to put you on the spot. Earlier this evening you were talking about your regret that eventually you will not be able to see your children and grandchildren,
Yes.
No, great-grandchildren.
great-grandchildren become adults. But you will be able to hear all our cell phones, evidently. It's probably beyond the grave. I'm going to put you on the spot and first of all ask you if you can remember the names of your children, of your grandchildren and your great-grandchildren, and then if there's something you want to say to them in the event that you actually don't live past 132. No, it's 132, I think, we were discussing this evening.
120 years. That's
Right,
the-
right,
the
120
biblical
years.
age.
So first of all, can you remember their names? Your grandchildren, let's start with
Well,
them.
the latest one is Noah.
Okay, she's your great-grandchild.
Right, yes, the fourth.
Right.
She's the fourth generation.
Okay.
You can do this backwards?
Now let
Okay.
her do it whatever way she wants.
Yeah, it's the one I remember so
There you go.
today. Now they're the twin boys,
Mhm,
Samuel and Elon.
mhm.
I'm very pleased the names that they selected. And then there's Mary and there's Anna.
Mhm.
Those are the grandchildren.
Great-grandchildren.
Well, they're my grandchildren and your great-grandchildren. And what do you want to say to them when they become adults?
Live wisely and well. Live fully, live rich. Remember to be a mensch. That you have a responsibility to people around you. You're not alone. The world is not just yours, the world belongs to other people around you. Wherever you can help others, help out. Share the joys and help people enjoy life. And be good to your parents.
There
Oh,
you
good.
go. Okay.
How about naming your grandchildren now and saying that? Your
I
grandchildren.
think that's enough, don't you?
No, you said your great-grandchildren. Name your grandchildren.
Well, David is the nearest one I can think of right now. I adore him. I adore Lucy's children.
That's it.
I can't
That's enough. That's enough.
Allison.
Say goodnight, folks.
No, he can cut in. Allison,
Allison
Jordan,
and Jordan and
Josh.
Joshua and Seth
Seth, and Sarah.
and Sarah.
And their spouses and significant others.
Yeah.
Say goodnight to the folks, Gracie.
Good night, Mother. We love
Anything
you.
else you want to say for posterity? We love you. We think you
Yeah.
are worth preserving.
I want to say what I say on the phone I was going to say every night, but obviously I'm not good enough to call my mother every night. But every time we talk, my mother always says to me, "Good night, Lucy, I love you," and I'm going to say that tonight. Good night, Mother, I love you.
Good night, Lucy. Good night, June. Good night, in memory of Peter. I love you all.
Mom, we think you're amazing and we love you, but one of the things that everyone thinks is amazing when they meet you is how lively and accomplished and alert and intelligent and active you are. And the question they all ask is, to what do you attribute your longevity and liveliness?
Look, I can't attribute longevity to the family because my father was 54 when he died, but he was a heavy smoker. My mother was in her either late 70s or early 80s. We never kept track of the time. She's in pretty good health. But the thing that I learned from my father was never lose the joy of living. I said, "Papa, you're talking in French. Le joie de vivre." He said, "Whatever you want to call it, you have a problem, you deal with it. But don't let the problem eat you up. Get rid of it, go on living." And remember those words, the joy of living, never lose the joy. So I have found a lot of joy in living. I've had my ups and downs. I managed to finish it, get rid of it, go on living. and share the joy with all those around me. All right?
Even me. Anything else like DNA? Guess not.
I think anything else, Jim?
Any genetic things helping?
No,
Okay.
my mother was always full of fun.
There goes science.
My mother would say, whatever happens, don't worry about it. We'll settle it somehow. There isn't enough more food to eat, we'll divide it 3 ways. Don't worry about it. You'll do. You come in, you fell down, it'll heal. Before you get married, it'll get healed. That was the expression. Before you get married, it'll get healed. It's the Yiddish expression. She learned to take things in stride. And she never sat down and worried, oh, it's been terrible, things are happening. You do the best you can with what you can. And she lived according to my father's philosophy too. You got a problem, deal with it. Don't lose the joy of living. And I've enjoyed life that way, and I've shared it with a lot of people around me. I'm not a kvetch. Thank you very much for the visit.
100 years of science down the drain.